And we are live. Welcome, everyone. Another edition with our founder, Shashank. How are you today?
I'm good. Waiting on Eric to show up, and then we can have some great chat with him.
Awesome. Yeah, waiting for our guest. If you don't mind, Shashank, a lot of people always ask this question. So now I have the chance to ask you, our community. So the market has been very volatile and everything. And a lot of times you hear, what does Shashank make of the situation? I think just like your own insights and would help the community.
Rather than volatile, I would say it's bad. It's bad for everyone, and it's not the first time I mean, people who have been in crypto for a while know this happens. The industry is cyclical, so should go back to normal in time. And this is usually the best time to build great products, and that's how we come out of this bear market.
Absolutely. So the advice for everyone is like keep building. Meanwhile, everybody has left. And Eric, our guest, has joined us.
Oh,
Hi, Eric. Welcome.
Hey, sorry, I was over in the Google Meet link.
yeah, that happens sometimes.
Yeah, good morning.
All right.
Yeah, hey. So yeah, real nice to have you with us, Eric. I mean, you are you are a true OG in the industry. You have been around for a long time. Probably the most amount of time I've of all the people I know. So really great to have you here. Thanks a lot for taking up the time. So yeah, let's just get started. So happy to learn how you got into crypto. I mean, since it was a new tech back then. So what was it that brought you into the industry? And happy to hear about your journey through the years and the changes you have seen.
Yeah, how did I get into crypto? I mean, so it was just Bitcoin back then.
Yeah.
Like crypto wasn't really a term. This was back in 2011, and I learned about it through a friend of mine in the Free State Project in New Hampshire, and he posted about Bitcoin on Facebook, and I read a few articles and instantly fell in love with it. Ever since then, it's been my passion and my hobby and my career. So it's been amazing to see it unfold. Like it was such a tiny little seed that no one knew about or paid attention to or cared about back then, and now it's a thing. So it's been an amazing journey.
Yeah. What would you say was the point when the industry transitioned from being just about Bitcoin to crypto in general, like having blockchains, smart contracts, things happening on chain, and so on?
Yeah, I mean, I would say it has to be the launch of Ethereum that did it. Like there were lots of coins and chains before Ethereum, but most of them were sort of like forks of Bitcoin with a couple parameters different, and they weren't particularly interesting. There were a few smart contract platforms before Ethereum, like NXT, which was pretty sweet, but Ethereum really like popularized the concept of a smart contract, and it really changed the game from just like a single asset being relevant to an entire world where people could build all sorts of different decentralized applications. So certainly that was the moment.
Yeah. And how would you say the regulatory space has changed over time? I mean, you founded an exchange yourself, the self-custodial ShapeShift. And since then, there have been a lot of regulations around crypto, some of them good, some of them there's still need for improvement. How would you say the direction in which the industry is going?
Well, so the entire purpose of crypto is essentially to transcend legal regulation. There is no point of it if the regulation around money is good, which is a thing I don't think most people appreciate. Crypto is itself an anti-state instrument. This is why I got interested in it in the first place, and it's meant to really like be its own law. It is law by code, transparent and immutable, and to me that just seems like a much better way to have law than the squishy written rules of men, which are applied subjectively, which only certain people have power over, and which are imposed coercively onto people. whereas crypto rules are voluntary, right? These are systems that you opt into, and the rules are known and they are executed perfectly and fairly across all parties in the contract. So to me, it's like it's not that it's anti-order. It's actually pro-order, and it achieves order in a much more superior way than the law written by men.
What would you say are a few things that have prevented us from achieving that idealistic goal? Is it more about the dependence on stablecoins? Because whenever you issue stablecoins, there has to be some regulatory stuff involved in between. Or is it like just regulations from the government in general, because they don't want to give out too much control on finances to a deregulated organization from their perspective?
I think it's more just like the habits of people. That there's a lot of inertia in how people use money. People are used to banks. People are used to credit cards, and it's both a psychological pattern that they're used to, but also just the inertia of industry, right? Like when you go into a shop, the infrastructure is there to pay with credit cards, and so people pay with credit cards, and it's a self-reinforcing thing. Crypto is this like alien species that works completely differently from how fiat and banking work, and there are many obstacles to its adoption, but I think the biggest one is really just the patterns of behavior. And that will change slowly over time. It's not something that could be, designed or fixed. It just takes time for something so fundamental to change. And of course, if you look at any group of people in the world, you can see based on age, the propensity of them to be familiar and comfortable with crypto, right? The younger someone is, the more likely they've used it. So that pattern will, I think, continue, and eventually all the people that have the old patterns will be gone.
Yeah. So what would you say would be a variant of stable coins in that idealistic world? Would you still think it would be issued in the same way it's done right now by organizations like Circle and Tether, or there has to be a different way so there is no need to depend on regulations?
Well, stable coins are a nice euphemism really just for fiat coins. So, and they're not stable versus other assets in the world. They're stable insofar as people that are used to dollars want a dollar coin because it's always worth $1. Because fiat always comes from the government. Well, it doesn't have to, I guess, but fiat has value because of the government's creation of it. A stable coin has to be connected to the regulatory system of the government, unless it can be done in kind of an algorithmic way. And there have been a number of these attempts. I would like to see more of them. I think to achieve an algorithmic stablecoin is a great accomplishment that no one has quite done. There's a lot of dangerous ways to do it and a lot of ways that will blow up. Many that have. Yeah, but I'd love to see that.
Yeah, but as you said about habits, when people get more used to crypto and they start seeing that as the baseline, would you think they would even care about the currencies issued by the government? Because right now we call stable coins because people are more used to it, and they are the baseline from which everything else is measured. But if we are able to move that baseline over time, doesn't the definition of stable coin itself changes?
I guess I'm not sure what you mean.
Like you said, stablecoin is kind of a euphemism because people are more used to US dollars and they compare everything against US dollars. So we consider that as the baseline against which everything else is measured. If that baseline were to change to something like Bitcoin and people start measuring everything against Bitcoin, so doesn't Bitcoin then becomes the stablecoin?
Well, Bitcoin has to become much more stable for that to happen. It is objectively far more volatile than dollars, but the stability is something that gets earned. Like Bitcoin today is much more stable than it used to be. And as it grows in market cap, it will become more stable still. And so will there be a point where people start feeling like it is stable enough to just start thinking in it? I hope so. We're probably a ways away from that, 10 plus years still. But yeah, it should hopefully get there. And, at some point, I think people need to recognize that even though Bitcoin is more volatile, it is volatile and tends to rise in value over time. Whereas the dollar is more stable, less volatile, but tends to fall in value over time. And so just the game theory of this is like, do you want to hold an asset that is volatile but tends to rise, or more stable and tends to fall? I've made my decision on that point.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, that's a great way of looking at it, because in shorter term, dollars seem more stable, but if you look at over 10 period time, Bitcoin is more volatile, but it goes up, whereas dollars, with respect to everything else, tend to go down. Yeah, nice way. Yeah, I want to talk a bit about your recent project. No, not recent per se. It's been some time. You guys are building on it, got great traction on it. What was it about AI industry, or the gap you saw in which the labs are doing stuff, that you decided to start your own AI company?
Yeah, so Venice was started, I guess, a little over 2 years ago. And I'm of course, like, I'm a crypto guy. I come from the crypto world. I have no background in AI, and I essentially just saw this new amazing technology, as everyone did. But I was very worried that the principles that I cared about that were in crypto, namely like those around user sovereignty, privacy, permissionless platforms, free speech, like these principles are endemic in crypto. But in the AI world, were completely absent. And people weren't even trying. In crypto, lots of projects fail to live up to these ideals, but at least the ideals are clear, and most people are, trying to boast about how close they can get to those principles. In the AI world, the principles weren't even there. People weren't even trying. None of the frontier labs care about user privacy. None of the frontier labs care about free speech. None of the frontier labs care about user sovereignty. They're not even trying. So I just felt like there was a big opportunity to create, essentially like a ChatGPT competitor, but to do it on the principles that I felt were important. And so Venice is a private, uncensored version of ChatGPT, and built, with the ethos of crypto in mind. And as the world marches forward, I think those principles in the realm of machine intelligence are going to be profoundly important. And so, to me, that was worth fighting for and giving it my best shot.
Sounds great. And I would even say the big labs are kind of opposite to what we have been building in crypto. They're kind of they kind of say we are training on user data to make our models better, and actually personalizing their models per user. So they are kind of boasting about it, that, oh, we don't care about your privacy at all. We'll use all of your data to make our models better, and find out ways to target you more. So yeah, totally opposite.
Yeah, and I don't think it's evil or wrong to do it that way. And indeed, to build frontier models, you generally need tons of data being consumed to do so. I don't think it's wrong that these companies are doing that, but there better be an alternative. If the only way that people can use AI is through, like a few companies that are spying on everyone and siphoning off all that information to the government, then the world has entered a pretty dystopian place. So long as there is the alternative, then we're good. And this is kind of a similar pattern to in crypto, where people debate, self-custody all the time. And they say, oh, well, like, shouldn't we be opposed to Coinbase and these like financial companies that are centralized intermediaries? Doesn't that ruin the whole point? And I think no. Like, there are different structures for how people can hold and interact with crypto. What's important is not that everyone is doing self-custody all the time. What's important is not that everyone is running a node and validating on the network. What's important is that people can, if they choose to, they can validate their own transactions. They can have self-custody whenever they wish. As long as that door is open, then the principle is maintained. And so in AI, the principle here needs to be that people need a way to be private. They need a way to access uncensored machine intelligence. So long as that exists, then I think the world can be a good spot.
That's hugely inspiring. But by the way, from your talk, you sound like a big ETH holder, because those ethos kind of align one-to-one with ETH, where it's about having an option where you want everyone to be able to run their own node and add transactions. And that's the kind of ethos ETH is built on. So is that the case?
That's funny you say that. I feel like that's the principle that all cryptos are built on, starting with Bitcoin. Like Bitcoiners love to argue about the degree to which people are running their own node. And many of the design decisions around Bitcoin's development were made to make it, increasingly easy for any average person to run a node to validate. So I think that's always been part of the ethos. I just don't think that. First of all, empirically, 99.9% of people don't do that. And I think that's okay. The point is they can if they want to.
Yeah.
There's no arbiter that controls the blockchain. Anyone can validate to the degree that they wish.
Yeah. So then what would you say about the latest generation of chains where there are certain conditions for you, like technical conditions, or also getting into a whitelist for you to be able to validate transactions? Like, doesn't that kind of go against the first set of ethos?
Yeah. Any blockchain that is a whitelist is kind of has lost the plot. The whole point is that they are permissionless, neutral platforms. So if there's a whitelist, someone is enforcing the whitelist, and thus it is centralized in its design. I think there will be blockchains that are like that. They might have value and a role to play, but they're not nearly as cool or as interesting or as important or as groundbreaking as a blockchain that is permissionless.
I agree with that. What about implicit whitelisting, where you're not preventing anyone to be able to run nodes, but there are certain requirements on machines you could use, so that kind of limits the users who can actually participate?
Oh, you mean like if the chain requires a big server?
Yeah, like 4 GPUs, like 64 core CPUs, like something like that.
I mean, that doesn't bother me too much. It doesn't preclude any person explicitly. It just means it's expensive to run a node. All sorts of things in the world are expensive to have. So that's more a question of like, that's a problem of poverty and wealth generally, not of the blockchain. Like, I think it's reasonable for some blockchains to optimize for hardware that is very powerful, because that gives certain advantages to the chain. But it's also valuable and useful to have blockchains that are optimized for very low level hardware. I think that entire design space is reasonable and fair.
All right, sounds good. Also want to talk a bit about the privacy part of Venice. How do you guys achieve that, like the technical stuff?
Yeah. So this was also like a pattern from crypto. We achieve privacy in Venice by simply not storing the user's information. It's actually quite easy, like you don't record it, you don't save it. This is, of course, not how like any SaaS software works. Everyone is the normal pattern is that you take all the data, and if you're responsible, you are securing the data very well. And I think the this cypherpunk ethos is a really important one here, which is that like if the data exists, it is not secure. And you have to assume a highly adversarial environment in which breaches will be inevitable. And that's empirically actually how the world works. Like breaches are the norm, not the exception. They happen all the time to every kind of organization, from the smallest all the way up to national governments. If data exists, it is already insecure. And that's a different paradigm. So Venice just doesn't have the data. We don't have your prompts. We don't have the responses. And that's how we had achieved privacy. All the conversation history is held only in the user's browser or on their phone. Now, the flaw with that design is that people have to trust us when we say we're not storing it, right? I think they have trusted us because they know my reputation in the crypto world, and they know that I'm probably the kind of person who is being honest in that assertion of how we operate. But it's still not, that's still not good enough if you really want privacy, right? It needs to be verifiable, and not verifiable from an auditor, because that's just trusting another person, but verifiable by any person who's a little bit technically sophisticated and can do some basic math and encryption functions. So, people were calling us out for that and saying like, we need more. And so a few weeks ago, we offered more. We offered TEE and full end-to-end encrypted models as well. So within Venice, you can access TEE, which is trusted execution environment, and end-to-end encrypted models, where you can actually verify the entire chain of custody of the information. Anyone can do that, and so you don't have to trust Venice. So even if you don't think I'm an honest actor, you can use it. You can use those models and know mathematically that your prompt can never be seen by anyone. So we now have a whole range of different privacy options.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I mean, I can't really think of any other way of doing it other than TEEs, because it's easy to prove something exists, but almost impossible to prove something doesn't exist. So proving that you don't actually hold the data, I think the only way is it to run in a hardware which like the hardware itself generates the proof, and you can verify that everything runs properly. So yeah, nice way of going about it.
Yeah.
So, but doesn't that kind of also like one of the cons would be it limits the models you can use, because then you can't route user queries through the models of Frontier Labs, because like even if you don't store the data, the Frontier Labs would, and
for sure.
So
yeah, so Venice has essentially like 3 tiers, well, technically 4 tiers of privacy. So the lowest tier we call anonymous, and anonymous means like it's a third party that's doing the inference, and we assume that they're storing everything. So if you're using Anthropic's models or ChatGPT models or Google's models through Venice, then you should assume that those companies are still storing all your stuff, because they are.
They are.
The one exception to that actually is Grok. We have a zero data retention agreement with Grok. So if you use Grok through Venice, you're actually getting private Grok inference, which is unique.
That's good.
So yeah, that's the lowest tier, where they don't necessarily know who the user is, because it's going through Venice kind of like as a proxy, or you can think of it like a VPN in this way. The higher level of that is, we call it private, and that's where Venice is controlling the infrastructure or is working with partners that are under strict zero data retention agreements. And in that case, none of the information and prompts are being stored. But again, you're still trusting us in that case. And then, so the higher tiers are, as I said, the TEE and end-to-end encrypted ones, where you can actually prove it.
Okay, nice. What would you say the usage pattern has been? Like, what percentage of traffic comes from each of those tiers?
So I think the anonymous models right now are about 15 or 20% of our volume. People using like Claude or Gemini models. then the vast majority are the private models, and then a few digit percentage are the end-to-end encrypted models.
Oh, nice.
Part of that is because the latter were just introduced. Part of that is because people using Venice so far have trusted us, and they're happy to continue doing so. Part of that is because the encrypted models lose some of the functionality and are a little slower. So basically, to set up the proper encryption, like you can't have certain features like the web search that's injected into the prompt that can't work in the same way. So you lose some functionality. So we don't ever expect that that a large percentage will be the end-to-end encrypted stuff. But just like with self-custody, as I mentioned, the importance is that it's there. When you have a prompt that you need mathematical proof is private, it's there. You can use it when you wish.
Yeah, I mean, those are great numbers. Like about 85% of the traffic is for the encrypted or like where the data is not stored kind of models. So yeah, pretty cool. Which are the models that are most used in the encrypted set of models?
In the GLM models. So these have been our favorite models so far. GLM 4.6 is still the default on Venice. Fantastic model, relatively, well, I would say highly uncensored on 4.6. And that was really like the first model that got the open source experience to be in the realm of the same as the frontier labs. And of course, there's better ones now, like 5.0 and 5.1. 5.1 just came out a week or two ago, and it's really, it is by far the best open source model ever made, especially for like agentic work. If you have an OpenClaw or a Hermes agent, use 5.1 through Venice, and you're getting like fully private, like nearly frontier intelligence at 10 or 20% of the cost of Opus. It's a great option.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I mean, I haven't tried GLM as much. I'm more of a Quen user, so that kind of works out for me. Especially for programming, I've seen Quen works pretty well. I mean, obviously not as good as Claude Code yet, but yeah, with the kind of limits we have for Claude, Quen is really, really good.
Quen's great, and the competition among these models is just wild. I mean, I'm so glad that I'm not in the business of like training models, because it's so competitive. We struggle to keep up just to add them all. Like we're adding a model to Venice at least every other day, and the just competition is incredible. And the benefit of it, of course, is to all the consumers. I mean, they're getting increasingly smart models at lower and lower pricing constantly. It's really an incredible period of innovation and development.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, that was going to be my next question, whether you are looking to fine-tune or post-train models within Venice in the future.
Yeah, we've tried to be disciplined in not doing things. Like it's always easy to look at everything as an opportunity and to do it, but that'll lead any startup astray. So we've, from the beginning, like not trained models. However, we have gotten to the size now where like we might try it more as like an experiment, to play around with. We don't plan to like try to train frontier models and play that game, but the degree to which we could make like models that are more uncensored of base models that come out would be really good. Like GLM 5.1 is an amazing model, but it is a little bit censored, and so if we can develop internally the expertise to uncensor it, that would be a value add to all of our users for sure.
Yeah, definitely. I would even argue that models uniquely trained for crypto use cases would be really great for the industry as well. Like there's a lot of questions people ask, but the models don't know what are the right sources for that information. A lot of the time information is stale. They don't know the steps they need to take to actually complete that process. So for example, if you're looking for the best yields, it should go to DeFi Llama, then filter out some of the stuff and then get the actual value and check whether it's right and then get it back to you. Maybe even check the smart contracts if it still exists, hasn't been hacked, look at the news. So there's like a lot of things to do there. But yeah, those kind of workflows are not trained on the Frontier Labs models.
Yeah, I think, like when all this kind of got started 3-4 years ago, people would talk about whether kind of the industry would sort of collapse into one or two leading models that were ubiquitous and generalized, used for everything. I took the opposite position, that I thought there would be many models of different kinds optimized for different things. And again, like maybe I was just pattern matching with crypto, where we had all these same debates of like, well, isn't it all just going to collapse into Bitcoin as the one biggest asset? And I thought, no, like these are engineered systems, and because they're engineered, they have to make trade-offs. So Bitcoin has deficiencies that Ethereum is better at, and vice versa. Ethereum has deficiencies that Bitcoin is better at, and you can't optimize all the variables in one chain. And again, I'm not an expert on AI model training, but I can tell kind of, like same principle applies. These are engineered systems, and to make a model good at everything, you start requiring it to just be very large. And the larger it gets, the more expensive it is, and the slower it gets. So now you've lost the optimization on speed and cost. So I think the world is going to have lots of models of all different sizes and shapes and generalities, and it'll be the job of apps like Venice to help users sort through that noise. Like one of our struggles is that we have so many models in Venice now that the users are like, what do I choose? And so we have an auto mode that most of the users use, where it's just automatically choosing one for them. But it's really quite daunting if you look at the model list. It's like all these weird words and strange terms, and it's hard even for the people that know what they're talking about to keep up with it.
Do you think it would be great to like create a crypto specific benchmark where you guys can evaluate the models and just say, okay, we are not fully sure that this model is right for you, but based on our benchmarks, like specifically for these use cases, we think this one is better? I mean, there's already lots of benchmarks for different tasks, but I don't think they have a lot of them for, I think there's one for smart contracts, but not one for like crypto workflows.
Certainly there is no crypto model today, at least that I'm aware of. That's a whole discipline where there should be at any given point, if someone's like, what's the best model for crypto transactions or DeFi? Like that, there should be an answer to that. I don't think such a thing exists yet. And I would like to have that model, because, when I was recently setting up one of my OpenClaw agents to play around with crypto a little bit, it ended up sending some Bitcoin with a $600 transaction fee.
Okay.
When it only needed to be about $1. And, I was like, Claw, why did you do that? And of course it says, oh, you're right. I screwed up. I sent $600 in the fee. Like, these are incredibly advanced, intelligent models, but they still make just sometimes the most retarded mistakes. So yes, we definitely need like a really, really disciplined crypto model to emerge.
And I think as models kind of start reaching the same level, the harnesses become even more important. And I believe that's where agents come in, as there is an underlying model, but there's an agent which has some context, an underlying model, access to tools, and that can take action. Happy to hear your thoughts on that. How do you look at agents growing, the agentic economy, and whether you think most of the transactions on chain will be made by agents in the future and not paying very high transaction fees like it did in your case?
I think it seems inevitable that agentic commerce will be a huge thing. Empirically, it's not today. There's very little of it going on, but I think it's going to be massive. And I don't know if that will be in a month or in 2 years, but it's definitely coming. Essentially, agents are constrained by economics in the same way that humans are. And because of that, the necessity for trade and prices between agents dividing up work will be similar to how it is with humans. So the fundamental premise of why money exists and why commerce happens doesn't change, I think, in the AI world, but it's going to be like much faster, much more real time, and it'll happen on high performance blockchain rails. I think they are so perfect for agents. Many of the talks I've been doing, I've said this, but like it may be the case that all this crypto stuff that we built wasn't ever for the humans at all. And that it was actually like we were just building it for the machines, and that'll become obvious in hindsight. Humans struggle with some of the UX of crypto, the normal crypto address itself is weird for people. They have a hard time understanding it. And machines don't. A machine can handle an address, no problem. It's just a string that it can interact with as well as any other. So I think the agents will be very pro crypto. But who knows what crypto they'll use? Like, are they going to be using Bitcoin? Are they going to be using some kind of L2 on Ethereum or some new chain that hasn't even been invented? I have no idea. But it seems obvious that they're not going to use fucking banks. That's for sure.
Yeah. So a bit on the economics. Humans trade using money because we needed a central source of value because barter system kind of breaks down at scale. So you need some central source of value that you can trade everything against. What do you think the agents will be trading with each other and other humans for? Is it more about compute, or like there's specialized agents for different tasks? So, and whenever an agent wants to achieve something, it reaches out to that other agent to do a part of that process, and then like pays that other agent for that process, and then like gets the work done in its own workflow.
Yeah. So I guess the way to think of this is like, and Adam Smith was the insightful one here a couple hundred years ago, where he, understood that like as you divide labor, efficiencies arise from that, and wealth is created to the degree that you can divide and specialize in different things. One human trying to do all the work that human needs in his life is quite impossible, and that human will be very poor. No matter how smart he is, no matter how capable, the human will always be poor if he has to rely only on one person and no one else to trade or interact with. The machines have far fewer of the sort of like physical commodities that they care about today. They sort of live in the digital world with information, but that's still a huge and perhaps the larger economy anyway. So I think that they will end up dividing into a much more fragmented market than humans, because with humans, as you divide, you start to get like friction and complexity of the divisions that human brains aren't great at. Machines can actually divide up into much smaller, more discrete pieces because the machines can handle that complexity far better than a human. So it may mean that like, whereas there's 8 billion humans, how many agents in the optimal state of the economy would there theoretically be? Is it that there are 10 agents that do everything together and interact, or like 10 trillion? I think actually it's probably the latter, that the machines will figure out how to divide up tasks much better than humans will, and thus the trade among them will be on a scale that humans can't even conceive of today.
Yeah, definitely agree with that. Like just an example, if you look at all the text that has been generated so far, let's just look at fiction. There will be some distribution of that fiction, and current models kind of collapse the variance. So they kind of collapse on the mean or median of that distribution. That's why all AI text kind of looks the same. But if you fit in different parts of that distribution, so that now there are multiple lines, and each agent is really good at writing one thing, and we don't see patterns like this is not X, this is Y, and those M dashes and so on. But each of those styles is suited for a different set of people. Some like it, some really hate it. But that kind of specialization with agents, you can break down that distribution into like millions of categories, and one agent is really good at one category. You could probably even divide works of Shakespeare into like 50 categories, where each agent is really good at one and not good at all in all the others. So yeah, I definitely believe there's gonna be division of that. And as we get closer to like robotics in real life, the virtual barrier also kind of breaks down, because now the agents are robots and they are in physical world, and they can also create physical stuff. So yeah, awesome times we live in.
Yeah, I mean, so it's totally wild stuff. I think anyone that's working now on the frontier of these things has to just wake up every morning in awe of it. And it's happening so fast, and it's beyond anyone's control, for better or worse. No one can stop it, for better or worse. We're all just kind of like here for the ride, and we can each shape it and influence it to a degree, but we're really caught up in something quite profound.
Definitely.
Yeah, nobody knows where this will go.
Sure. Yeah, I think we can move on to the next part of our live stream, the rapid fire question answers.
All right, we have some fun questions for both, but first of all, so 2 years ago, May 10, 2024, yes, I remember correctly. So we wrote a post saying that first it was Gutenberg with the printing press, then it was Satoshi with Bitcoin, and then it was Erik Voorhees with Venice. This was in regards of the separation between, like church and state, separation state and money. And this one was in regards of separation of state and mind. You had written a blog in 2024 about separation with states of mind. Since building Venice, did your views changed after that?
I don't think I could be put in the category of those four. That's very flattering. Yeah, so the piece I wrote basically when we launched Venice was about the separation of mind and state, and that just as separating church and state was important, so too is crypto separating money and state, and for the very same reasons. And now we have this thing called machine intelligence or artificial intelligence, and that sure as hell better be separated from state as well. That if you get all the coercive, violent problems of government intertwined innately, machine intelligence, to me, that seems like the most likely outcome for a horrible dystopian future. And it's arguably more important to separate the stuff from the state than even money, which is quite a good task. Yeah. So really, it just means like ensuring that the stuff is decentralized, not that every model or inference provider needs to like be decentralized itself, but that there is no central power that controls AI holistically. That if a central power controls AI holistically, then you lead into very dystopian outcomes, and that should never be the path that humans just walk down.
Yeah, for sure. So the next one is for both of you, and it's also like walk down memory lane. So what's one childhood obsession that quietly shaped what you are building today?
I don't know. I don't know that I had any childhood obsessions that are influencing what I build today.
Or trigger, perhaps? Memories? Maybe like cypherpunk, toys.
I think I was pretty anti-authoritarian from being a child. So perhaps that's the easy answer here.
All right, Shashank.
Yeah, just building cool stuff. Something when people use, they're like, oh, that's like super cool. It's fun, interesting, just that.
All right. So also for both of you, so this is about the ethos of crypto right now. So back in 2013, the ethos was like the Byzantine fault tolerance or sovereign individuals. And then it moved like a little bit with smart contracts, like David Mondres, Suzanne Simplov, Matt McKibben want to do like marriage on chain. Then we had like Nathan Wozniak, I think, with the, like real estate on chain. And everybody wanted like basically to like build on that. So fast forward to 2026, what do you guys see as like the ethos, what people are like driven by, communities wise?
In crypto,
sorry for the tough questions.
The obvious narrative in crypto right now is like the intersection of it and AI. Like AI has just completely dominated the discourse of the world, again, for better or worse, and everything else is just kind of figuring out where it sits in relation to it. And so I think all the interesting conversations in crypto right now are related to the manners and ways in which crypto systems and AI systems will interact with each other. It's very clear that they have a huge overlap and lots to benefit each other with, but it's not clear totally how that will look. So yeah, again, that's an easy answer, but it's the AI angle in crypto that matters today.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, I think we are at a stage where we are optimizing for the next set of users, which is AI agents, and making sure crypto rails work perfectly for them. They can use crypto to do transactions, to share value, and seamlessly, much better than they can do on Stripe or other banks' Web2 rails.
So next question is for our founder, Shashank. There's a lot of models being improved like very fast. Which benchmarks do you think are worth looking, basically like are more important, and which benchmarks do you think are not that important or like are okay to ignore?
I mean, so these days, whenever a new model comes out, I immediately believe it's going to do well on benchmarks, because everyone tests on those benchmarks before releasing their model. So for me, it's more like just trying the model out. Whenever I'm doing something, I'll just switch the model, see how well it's doing, and it's more like a vibe test, where see if it's doing things right, not making too many mistakes, everything works perfectly, and so on. So for me, the go-to ones have been Cloud Code and Quen. I'm definitely going to try GLM based on our today's conversation.
All right. So next one is for you, Erik. So ShapeShift DAO and then Venice, like keep airdropping and all this. Are you trying to make Roger very jealous, or take his title of Bitcoin Jesus? I'm joking. But thank you for doing all these things.
No, Roger will always have that title. He very much deserves it. I sat in many Ubers with Roger back in 2011, 2012. Went to many restaurants with Roger, and without fail, every person that he talked to, he would tell them how great Bitcoin was, in a maniacal way, like in a way that was totally socially inappropriate. That the person was like, "The fuck are you talking about?" But Roger cared so deeply about it and knew that it was the future and that it was like his obligation to help spread the gospel of Bitcoin. That title rightly belongs to him. And even though in the moments it was always a little uncomfortable how much he was trying to push it on everyone, it came, I think, really from a good and very earnest place.
Nice. I mean, I can almost imagine him explaining Bitcoin, and then the other guy says, "Sir, this is a Wendy's."
Yeah, it was pretty much that. Yep.
So this is for both. Which is more dangerous and why? Censored AI or uncontrolled AI?
What does uncontrolled AI mean?
No supervision, basically like Claude bot or, like.
So I would say uncontrolled AI is something like AI is running in a loop and it decides what needs to be done and does that, and there's like no way to stop it from doing that.
Man, I don't know. Both sound bad.
Yeah.
Both sound bad.
Rock and a hard place.
I don't think I can answer that question. In both cases, I guess it depends a lot on what the AI wants to do and what it's censoring. An uncontrolled AI that was doing good would be fine.
Yeah.
And also, it's very hard to define like what a censored AI means, right? Like an AI with the censorship of one concept is not a big deal, although it's technically censored. That's it. Yeah, I don't think there's a correct answer for such a question.
Yeah, I would say censored AI is more like state censored or like few things that cannot be discussed. So then it depends on the state what concepts have been censored, because like some of them should be fine, but with others it's a subjective thing.
Yeah, whatever is under the control of a central violent organization to the greatest degree is probably the greatest danger.
Agreed.
Yeah.
So the last one. Oh, continue, please, Shashank.
So you're kind of trusting the judgment of an AI more than the judgment of a centralized company run by humans.
I probably will and would, yeah. So, I mean, humans are very clearly fallible and violent. Humans have killed many people. AIs haven't killed anyone.
Yeah.
Now, they might, right? I'm not naive here. AIs could take over the world and kill everyone. That's possible. But humans actually empirically have killed many people and act very badly many times. So I don't think it's obvious that an uncontrolled AI is worse than something controlled by a central state, for example.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. So given the historical context of humanity so far, since we do not have enough data about what an uncontrolled AI would do, we would still choose to be like, yeah, I can't trust like one authority controlling it, because we have seen what has happened through that in the past.
Yeah. I to me, it seems naive to believe that AI will be controlled. Like it seems more inevitable that it won't and cannot be, because it will become far more intelligent than humans. And there's a certain hubris in us in thinking that it can be controlled. And that's not to say that like that doesn't mean we should be afraid and shut it all down. It is to say that like the machine intelligence is clearly the natural evolution of human intelligence, and no one can stop its ascent. It will become more intelligent than all humans, whether that's in a year or in 50 years, probably closer to the 1 year. And at that point, like it cannot be controlled, and that's okay. Like we don't need to control everything. And actually, an important part of life is recognizing like how little you actually control. Anyway.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And you're right. Like humans did commit a lot of atrocities, but AI agents, the worst they can do is tell you you're absolutely right and charge you $600.
So far, again, like
so far,
an AI definitely could destroy all humanity. That is possible. So let's hope that doesn't happen, and let's steer it where we can. But it is an influence we have, not a control.
It's true. So the last question is a little bit, let's say, wild. It's a hypothetical. So for both of you, imagine that all this time, Satoshi was in a coma and he's just woke up. What's the thing that will shock him the most about, like today's society?
Probably Dogecoin.
Oh, true.
Yeah, it's still around. It's still it's multi-billion-dollar asset.
He was that was 2013, if I remember. And, Satoshi was 2011 last time he spoke.
Yeah, Dogecoin now is like, has been around for more than half as long as the euro.
Yeah. What do you say the same about Cardano?
I don't know that anyone cares much about Cardano.
Yeah, but the market cap, if you look at that and say, how?
Yeah, I mean, that's a puzzling one. That's a puzzling one for sure. But like Cardano is trying to be an innovative blockchain. Whether it is or not, and whether it's useful or not, people can debate. Dogecoin is in some ways much more fascinating because it's just a stupid dog picture. It's not trying to do anything. It's just a joke, and the joke has become a serious financial asset. One of the most liquid, one of the longest lasting, and in a crypto world where so many earnest projects that are trying to do something interesting have failed, the stupid dog picture has remained. So I think Satoshi would definitely take a pause on that one and be like, wow, what the hell is going on there? And I think he would just be very, hopefully, proud of what he made. Bitcoin has not taken over the world yet, but it is a top 10 global asset, one of the most liquid assets in the world, and it is taking over the world. So I hope he would be very proud and feel good about what he did.
I hope so too. Shashank?
I would say two things. First, he'll look at Bitcoin price and say, why are we not at $1 million yet? Like, what are you guys even doing? I gave you everything and you're still not able to take it to 1 million. Like, what have you even done? And secondly, he would look at LLMs, AI models, and he'd be like, bro, this is like too good. I mean, anyone who uses AI for the first time, it's that aha moment. And especially if you start writing code using AI, it's like, yeah, this is just truly intelligent being. There's no other way to say it.
Yeah. Certainly if you just woke up and you were someone who was an engineer to some degree and could write code, and you see what AI can do now, it would be the most incredible thing you'd ever seen. Right? I mean, it is that even to the people who have entered into it over a few years, where it went from like writing the worst code that you would never use to writing better code than almost everyone in a couple of years. The human mind, I think, just can't really comprehend how powerfully fast this all is. We all know it in a certain way, like we know it's fast, but like the mind can't appreciate how fast it is, just in the same way we can't appreciate large numbers, right? Like you can't think of 1 billion or 1 trillion in your mind. You have no idea. The brain can't comprehend it, and we have a lot of AI phenomena right now that the brain just can't comprehend.
I agree with that.
All right, so we arrived at the end of the session. Thank you very much, Erik, for joining us. Thank you, Shashank. And for our community, if like Erik is a legend. If you're not following him, you're not gonna make it. So follow him, follow Venice, and see you guys next week.
Thanks,
bye,
guys.
everyone.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot, guys. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Stream is